Hello fellow simmers, it's Samuel Beamon of BLS here, and today we're going to be looking at a tap changer in Train Sim World 5. Oh yes. So this is going to be an interesting one because I'm usually used to driving steam locomotives and diesel locomotives. There's not really been many videos of me driving an electric loco, electric multiple unit, or any AC electric. That's mainly due to the fact that, if I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm not usually a massive fan of them. I'm more diesel and steam. Electrics just don't do it for me. But I do respect the tap changers, and obviously, the older gen electrics such as Class 86, 87, and the like. So today we're going to be attempting to learn how a tap changer works within Train Sim World 5 in preparation for the upcoming Class 86 DLC by Just Trains, which will be, funnily enough, for the route that we're going to be looking at, Preston Carlisle. So, I would like to learn how to use the 87, but what's interesting is I've clicked on tutorials on this particular route, Preston Carlisle, and all I'm seeing here at the moment is a route introduction. I hope this isn't the only tutorial, otherwise this is going to be a very, very interesting video because, as I say, I'd like to actually learn how to use the 87. I haven't driven it yet. I don't really know how to use a tap changer. It's something I've never really done before. So, yeah, this will be quite an interesting video. So, you know what, let's just play the game, get into the introduction.
Welcome to Carlisle Station, the northern terminus of the West Coast Main Line Preston to Carlisle route. Situated on the West Coast Main Line, this Grade 2 listed structure oversees a wide range of services throughout the day. Its location is some 102 miles southeast of Glasgow Central and 299 miles northwest of London Euston. Looks like there's a missing route map over there. Let's head over to it and fix it whilst you are here.
Well, we've got Tom of Just Trains talking. I bet I've already got this route map, because this isn't the first, yeah, I've already technically got it. So this isn't the first time I'm actually looking at this route, because I have sort of played it prior to this video, just to, have a look around and see how my Train Sim World 5 game actually, runs.
There are a lot more tasks across the route, so be sure to find and replace the missing route maps and enjoy the mint cake. Cumbria is well known for its mint cake. There are also rail tours that will take place, so be sure to put up the special advertising posters for them. If you happen to come across any luggage that has fallen onto the platform, please be sure to place it back onto the trolley. Plus, keep your eyes peeled for some model castles. Follow the markers to board the train before it departs.
Oh, is this just a board in the train thing?
Take a seat anywhere you like.
Okay, so we're not actually doing a tutorial on how to use the 87 here. Okay. Well, I mean, the interiors of these carriages are really nice. I'll give it that. As I say, the route itself is beautiful. It really is a lovely looking route. And yeah, I've really enjoyed using it so far. Although, oh, there we go.
Our journey begins at Carlisle Station, which opened in September 1847 under its original name of Carlisle Citadel. This name lasted all the way through until 1948, where it was renamed to its current name, Carlisle. The station is a key part of the West Coast Main Line from London to Glasgow, as it forms the central point of the route and is an important interchange for trains through the northwest of England, Scotland and beyond. It provides connections from such places as Newcastle along the Tyne Valley, Leeds via the Settle and Carlisle route, along with the Cumbrian coast. Trunk services for Glasgow and London also serve this important station. This is the British Rail Class 87 electric locomotive in the BR Blue livery. You are currently sat on board a Mark 3A coach. The Class 87, nicknamed Vans, were introduced between 1973 and 1975, with a total of 36 locomotives built. The loco was designed in conjunction with the extension of the West Coast Main Line between Weaver Junction, Preston, Carlisle and Glasgow as a high-performance locomotive which could tackle and maintain speeds along the route, which was especially required in the challenging northern half in areas such as Shap and Beatuk Summit. These powerful locomotives have a top speed of 110 miles per hour, which means they can keep up to the timetable with ease. Alongside the Class 87, you will also be able to drive the BR Class 47 diesel locomotive, the BR Class 08 diesel shunter, and the BR Class 101 diesel multiple unit. These locomotives will provide you with a wide variety of experiences, meaning you can drive all kinds of services encompassing passenger, freight and parcel trains. Tap into what the West Coast Main Line has to offer with a wide variety of changing scenery, from local rail travel to the seaside town of Morecambe to the high-speed services that run north and south, or take things back a notch, driving freight services along the route. The choice is yours. Look out for many iconic landmarks along the way, such as the Church of St Walburg in Preston, the impressive castle which overlooks Lancaster Station, or maybe just taking the views of the Loon Gorge as your locomotive winds its way through the valley to its destination. Across the route, you will also see characterful signal boxes and distinctive stations.
This reminds me of
Welcome to West Coast Main Line, Preston to Carlisle.
He keeps interrupting me. I was going to say, that reminds me of Microsoft Train Simulator, the introductory train rides, when they used to do those. Yeah, so it's really interesting how there's sort of a more modern era version of that. Okay, so it says next training module, British Rail Class 87 introduction. Brilliant. Hey, okay, so we can get to work on that. That's good. Yeah, so I have viewed this route prior to this, just so, you know, obviously testing my trains in world. So this isn't a first look at this. This is more of a first tryout of the 87. So we'll see how that goes.
This is the British Rail Class 87 locomotive in BR Corporate Blue livery. In this brief introduction, we will go through various procedures such as cab setup, passenger door operations, driving and stopping. You will need to enter the locomotive to get started. Head over there now, and why not take a closer look around the Class 87 along the way.
Yeah, we'll have a close look. Okay, yeah, so you can see here, you know, the model is stunning. As to be expected from Trains in World. The detail that they put into the actual locomotives themselves is phenomenal. The amount of research that goes into it, a lot of them look pretty spot on. The only one that doesn't particularly look that great is the Class 37, which, well, the original Tees Valley Class 37. Maybe we'll go and do a video on that at some point. To explain the reasons to why my opinions on that are like that. And that's mainly due to the fact that Lewis Brown also brought it to my attention, considering he's quite a 37 expert. He has brought to my attention of how many inaccuracies are actually on the model. So it'll be interesting to have a look around it and just kind of, you know, have an analysis on that. Perhaps something I can ask him to maybe tag along and view as well. But yeah, so Class 87. Without further ado, let's get inside the loco. Open the door.
To activate this cab, you must lift up the change end lever. This must be activated always from the lead cab, otherwise you will not be able to take control of the locomotive. Sit in the driver's seat to continue the setup procedure. Set the master key to activate the driver's desk. Headlights and markers are used to inform others around that this locomotive is active.
I like that dimmer switch. Okay, we'll lock the doors.
guard has given you the clearance for departure by giving you 2 audible beeps from the NHA guard compartment. Acknowledge receipt of this by responding with 2 tones.
Ah, is that the driver to guard buzzer down there, is it?
Set the master switch to the forward position. To release the brakes, move and hold the train brake handle to the release and overcharge position. Observe the brake gauge. Once they are released, you can let go. It will spring back into the running position.
Basically like an AP product when it does that. I believe it's released. Looks like it. Yes, we can also use obviously that, yeah. Okay, we've done that. You going to tell us anything else? Because we've done it. Hello. There we are.
The power controller is controlled by the notching lever, also known as a tap changer, which has 6 notches: off, run down, notch down, hold, notch up, and run up. Notch up is to be used for the gradual application of power when starting trains away, or to increase power by small amounts whilst running by moving the power controller to and fro between the hold and notch up position.
Oh, sounds very
The
complicated.
notch position can be increased one at a time over the whole of the notching range. During notching up, the traction motor ammeters should be observed to ensure the ammeter needles do not remain in the red sector for long periods and that they remain approximately level.
Okay, right. Well, let's see how this gets on, shall we? I'm just going to give a quick tip on the horn because, you know, why not? Yeah, that's a very nice horn. Right, run down. What does that do? Notch down, hold, notch up. There we are. Okay. Oh, we're moving. Okay, so what do I just tap it now, do I? Okay, so if you hold it, it gets faster. That's interesting. Okay, what was that all about? Oh my god, okay, have I like fried something or blown something up? How am I supposed to reach 25 miles per hour? Oh my god, this is actually painful. Why is it not getting any faster anymore? I think I broke something, haven't I? Oh. But it is turned on. It's just not going anywhere, is it? Okay. Well, this is what learning's all about. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to restart this, and then we're going to see if we can actually do it properly. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay guys, so after reviewing my footage, I know exactly what I did wrong. So basically, the idea of the tap changer is not to hold the position for too long. Otherwise the ammeter goes all the way up to the red zone. If you leave it in the red zone too long, it blows your amps. So quite simply, I blew up our amps. So, well, you know, it's first time for everything. Oh, brilliant. So, yeah, not a good start. But also, I just want to note that this is actually wrong, this tutorial, because he didn't ask us to set up the AWS. So you see here, we've got the AWS isolation switch, which is isolated. Technically, this should not be isolated. We should be using the AWS. So what he should have told us to do is put this switch up and then operate the change end lever.
Sit in the driver's seat to continue the setup procedure. Set the master key to activate the driver's desk. Headlights and markers are used to inform others around that this locomotive is active.
Sorry to butt in there, we've done it before. Right, let's unlock the doors again and let passengers aboard. Well, bless me. There's not actually any passengers on the platform because, you know, this is a test train on the test route. So, yeah, we're just like opening the doors for nothing. But it's just to learn how to open and close the doors, I suppose.
The guard has given you the clearance for departure by giving you 2 audible beeps from the NHA guard compartment. Acknowledge receipt of this by responding with 2 tones.
That's another thing, the dialogue there, it says respond with 2 tones. What, you mean like 2 tones from the horn? Or 2 beeps from the guard call button? I would say that is 2 beeps, not 2 tones. Because if you can hear, that's exactly the same sound.
Set the master switch to the forward position.
That is not 2 tones. Okay, so let's put ourselves into forward.
To release the brakes, move and hold the train brake handle to the release and overcharge position. Observe the brake gauge. Once they are released, you can let go. It will spring back into the running position.
I'm not going to move it until he stops speaking. There we go. So now if I move it, now he stops speaking, the game should actually register it as being moved, unlike what happened last time. He says. Oh, really? Oh, for God's sake. Right, okay. You want to play like that? We'll do it again then. Could have asked us that we're doing a brake test. You know, could have told us we were doing a brake test.
The power controller is controlled by the notching lever, also known as a tap changer, which has 6 notches. Off, run down, notch down, hold, notch up, and run up. Notch up is to be used for the gradual application of power when starting trains away, or to increase power by small amounts whilst running by moving the power controller to and fro between the hold and notch up position. The notch position can be increased one at a time over the whole of the notching range. During notching up, the traction motor ammeters should be observed to ensure the ammeter needles do not remain in the red sector for long periods and that they remain approximately level.
See, that's what I should have took note of last time. So, let's do it again. Okay, we're starting to move gradually. Right, now let go. Here we are, so we can see our amps are slowly decreasing. Okay, so this is a really interesting drive. It's very different. I will say, very different to your standard units and locomotives. Much more complex, I must say.
Hold is used to retain the selected notch position once the desired speed has been attained. Run up is to be used to increase power rapidly when, for example, the power has been shut off or reduced for coasting at speed, by notching the power controller automatically. The power controller is spring loaded in this position and will return to the notch up position when released.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more complicated than your standard locomotive.
Notch down is to be used to reduce power one notch at a time by moving the power controller to and fro between hold and notch down positions. Each complete movement reduces the tap changer position by one notch. Run down is to be used to reduce power when the desired speed is attained, or to quickly reduce the notch position prior to moving the power controller to off. This avoids a sudden chopping off of power as the secondary and motor contact is open, which could produce drawbar shocks along the train. Coasting is a method used to efficiently maintain a constant speed and reduces motor stress and maintenance requirements. Moving the power controller to off means the traction motor contactors are open, hence no power can reach the traction motors. The tap changer is also used to provide braking effort via the rheostatic brake, which uses the traction motors to brake the locomotive. This is done by turning the motors into generators, which convert the kinetic energy of the locomotive into electricity. This excess electricity is sent to a bank of resistors, which dissipates the energy in a form of heat. A set of blowers are provided below the resistors, which speed up in proportion to the strength of the rheostatic brake applied, resulting in the classic wailing sound whilst braking. Unique to the Class 87, this locomotive is fitted with a power brake switch on the train brake handle, which means that as soon as you move the train brake handle away from running, traction power is cut and approximately 500 amps of rheostatic brake is applied. Once the tap changer is completely notched down, normal rheostatic brake performance will resume.
Okay, this is very, very interesting. So I'm actually kind of nervous. I don't usually say that, but yeah, this is an interesting experience to say the least. Hope we don't blow anything else up by doing this. I can hear that whining sound that he was on about. Is that the station? Doesn't look like it. It just looks like a waypoint to me.
You are approaching the station. Begin applying a small amount of braking force by moving the brakes into the braking range.
Oh, now you tell me. Can't see the freaking platform because the train brake sign's in the way. Let's put platform assist on. How nice of it. So we've now got an assist when stopping. But the thing is, I don't usually use this, so I'll have to turn it off again when after I've done this. Whoa, okay, just spazzed out there. Right, stick the loco brake on, unlock the doors. Okay, so I think that's basically it. That's basically how to drive the 87, which, yeah, was very interesting. Yeah, well.
Good work. That concludes the basics of this locomotive.
Oh, and that was only the basics, was it? Oh my days. Right, so there we go then, lads and lasses, whoever's watching. So, that was me learning how to use the Class 87. So I think what we're going to do is, before we end our video off, we're just going to have a little look around the 87, just like the model, and just sharing my thoughts and opinions on that before we end off. But yeah, so that was a very, very interesting experience. It's very, very different to any other train that I've ever driven within any of the train simulators. So it was a very, very different experience. And yeah, it's I'm not sure whether I like it or not. I think I'm just going to have a mess about with the tap changes a bit more and get used to how it works and operates. But yeah, as I say, they're not really, as I say, electric trains, they're not really my cup of tea. Just, steam and diesel are my, my main area. So anything electric, I find relatively boring. But, do you know what? That was an interesting drive. And you know what? I'm going to give it a crack. I'm gonna carry on giving the tap changes a go and getting used to how they operate, because that is an interesting experience. So, I'll see you guys in a minute. I'll head over to the Preston Carlisle route DLC once again, because obviously for some reason it did plonk us into the test route and it wasn't actually on the Preston Carlisle route. So, yeah, without further ado, I'll head over there and I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so here we are on the Preston Carlisle route, and sat in front of us is the Class 87. So we're not going to be looking at all the liveries that come with the Class 87 and Preston Carlisle route, because just simply because I just feel it's unnecessary. We're just looking around the model. We're not necessarily going to be looking at the liveries today. I may do it in another video later on, because I know that there's been some livery updates recently to the 87, which includes multiple new variants on a more recent update. So we will have a look around those at some point, but really what we're going to do today is just have a brief look around the model to end off our video of learning how to drive the Class 87. So I just want to put it out there, after reviewing the footage once again about earlier, I got the incorrect terminology for what I did. So I didn't blow the amps, as I put it. I actually blew the traction motors. So yeah, it's what is known as a traction motor flashover. So don't do that. Word of advice, do not do that. It ruins your locomotives. Yes. So, learning curve. Okay, so this is 87022, which is Coco the North, funnily enough, which is a I believe steam locos were named, or a steam loco was named Coco the North. It was a P2, and then a 9F was renamed it later on. But you can see the amount of detail that's been put into this model by Just Trains. I mean, it's absolutely superb. We've got all of the, the springs, all of the details underneath. It really does look superb. We can see all of the little bits and pieces that are around the 87, from mesh grills to the battery boxes, and it looks incredibly smart. I don't know if any of this is like you can do anything under here as far as I know, but it certainly does look spot on. And as I say, this is another thing I really do like about Train Sim World, is you get the sense of scale, because obviously you're in first person, so you get that sense of scale that these these locomotives, how big they are. And yeah, it's incredibly smart. We've got some really nice buffer textures as well on there. And the overall texturing of the 87 does look incredibly smart, especially in certain lighting. But yeah, you can see here we've got all of the cylinders, all of the appropriate stuff. It really, really does look smart. But you can see, the texturing, especially in certain lighting, looks absolutely superb, like the weathering and stuff. And when you get the shine on the body side as well, it really does bring it out. Right down to the windows, the muck on the windows and stuff like that. It does look gorgeous. So let's climb into the cab and have a look around the cab, which, I mean, technically we have already seen it, but we're going to look around as well. I mean, just look at that. It's very smart. I like the animation of getting up into the cab as well. It's very, very nice. So here we are in the cab, and yeah, again, texturing looks incredibly nice, doesn't it? It really does look super. And you can see here we've got like this little sort of standing area here, so you can basically you can fit 4 people in this cab. So you've got the driver, second man, you can have a third man, and even a fourth man if you really wanted to, standing in these 2 corridor sections here. Because obviously they can see over the driver's head at the views ahead as well, which is basically similar to what a Class 33 has as well. So it's a very similar layout to a 33. And yeah, it's an interesting layout. It's very, very nice. We've got all the other bits and pieces here as well, like obviously the electric shock rescue and treatment signs, and basically all of the emergency procedures to if there was accidents or anything that happened within this Class 87. We've got the corridor lights, sort of to the engine room and stuff like that, but we don't need it right now because we're actually during the day at the moment, so we won't be looking at that now. We've got features such as the Bardic lamp, which you can turn on and off if you really choose. I mean, it's utterly pointless. It's just there for show, really, but hey-ho, it's nice to see it there. But one of my favourite features on this, and I really do wish more locomotives had this feature within Train Sim World, because it would just be absolutely fantastic to be able to do this on pretty much everything. I know the reasons to why it has been, in a sense, lowered in the means of features, and that is due to the console. So, originally, if you guys can remember going way back at the original release of Train Sim World, we had something called CSX Heavy Haul. Now, the interesting thing about CSX Heavy Haul was... Oh, is there a train coming? Oh yeah, look at that. Another 87. Yeah, so the interesting thing about CSX Heavy Haul is you could open up the engine room compartments of the American locomotives, so you can actually view the engine and do bits and pieces to the engine. When they introduced consoles to Train Sim World 2, this feature was taken away. So we no longer had CSX Heavy Haul as part of our collection, so that was taken out of the collection, and it is... I mean, it wasn't confirmed by Dovetail Games, but it was confirmed by other people that it was due to the fact that consoles could not handle that kind of realism and could not handle all of that features. So that is why we didn't get any more kind of engine room interiors from then on with all the West Somerset stuff like the 47s and, the 37, etc. It just didn't happen. Had this game remained on PC only, we probably would have done, but as they introduced the consoles, we no longer had that. We didn't have the privilege to have that feature, which is a shame. It's a massive shame, and I really wish we did have it. But JT have included that feature with this, and I know it's been included with some other electric locomotives within game to go through sort of the engine compartment. But I think, I sit there and I think, well, why has it been done on these and not on diesel locomotives? Well, if you think of the amount of stuff that is inside a diesel locomotive's engine room, there is a lot of pipe work, there's a lot of gauges and other bits and pieces that would need to be modelled. Whereas with an electric engine room, and you'll see when we go in, there's not as much to model, so therefore it is not as resource intensive. So let's open the door and take a look. So what we have to do is crouch under here because it's quite, a tight space and all of that. But one of the things that does irritate me about this, and it is a bug, and it really annoys me, is if you notice that when we're in a cab, you can't hear anything. You can't hear any outside sounds or nothing. Yeah, it's just no ambience. It's nice and, you know, enclosed. Obviously, because you're in an enclosed cab, you wouldn't hear anything. But as soon as we walk through the engine room, have a listen. I'll just do that again so you can have a listen again. So as you can see, as soon as we go into the engine room, you can all of a sudden hear ambient sounds and a Class 47. That should not be a thing. That's not. It should be muffled and enclosed like the cab. So that is a fault there, which is really annoying. So that is one thing I did pick up on the 87, which I don't like. We've got the additions of these tail lights here, which are very, very nice. It's the Mark II tail lamps, very, very good. And obviously we've got all of the bits and pieces in here. But as you can see, you know, it's basically a lot of it is just like almost like closed compartments. So there's not like huge amounts to be modelled in a sense. But got to say, it's just lovely to be able to walk through the engine room and to be able to, you know, to get to the other cab. We can even do bits and pieces in these engine rooms as well, as far as I know. But yeah, just look at it, it's beautiful. You can hear a 101 going past. So yeah, as you can see, you can hear it, like you can hear the outside sounds within the engine room. It's just annoying. We've got a toilet here as well. I presume it's a toilet or a sink or something. Yeah, it's a toilet. So we've got a toilet in there. Yeah, I don't think you can actually do anything in here as far as I know. There's nothing, as far as I can see, that is clickable. Or it looked like there was when I was coming around here earlier, but evidently not. But yeah, it's very, very nice to have this feature. And obviously we can go through to the other cab. As you can see, we've got no ambience again. But yeah, so the fact that it has the ability to be able to walk through and go down to the other end, it's just brilliant. It's something that I've wanted for ages. It saves getting out the loco and, you know, going back in the other cab again. It's just fantastic. I can do that all day. Let's just do it again for, you know, it's just brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, I love it. I love doing that. Yeah, but you know, it's features like that which it's just fantastic that we've got them. I wish it was on more locos. Yeah, well, look, we've got the blinds as well that come up and down. There's plenty of stuff to do in here. So we've got the obviously dimmer switch, demister. So if we want the immersion of, you know, demisting the windows, we can. We've got a cab heater switch. So if we want the heating on within the cab, we've got that immersion. Well, that's sort of, you know, I mean, obviously you can't hear nothing, and it's just basically there for show. But at least we've got it, and you know, it just kind of gives you a nice simulation aspect. But look, you can see here as well, look how the sun glares on the side there. You know, the texturing is really, really smart on this. It really does look smart. Got the moquette on the seat as well. I mean, it is a fantastic, it's a beautiful model. I cannot lie to you. Just Train's done an absolutely perfect job on it. It just looks fantastic. I mean, I haven't seen the Wagons 87. I don't know what that's like in TS Classic, but from what I've heard from people's opinions on this, they think that the Train Sim World 87 is actually better than the Wagons Class 87 for TS Classic. Not sure, because as I say, haven't tried it, haven't tested it, don't know what it's like. So I'm going to take your word on that and, you know, and say that yes, it probably is better. After all, this one came out later than the Wagons one. The Wagons one came before this, so there's probably features on this that the Wagons for 87 don't have. So, yeah. But yeah, so that is a basic look around the Just Trains Class 87, which is a lovely bit of kit. It really is. And as I say, I'm not a huge fan of these. It's not really my cup of tea, you know, electrics, but it is lovely to have one in game. It really is. It's a beautiful model. There's lots of nice features on it. It is an interesting drive, as we found out. And yeah, I think I'll use this a little bit more often. You know, give this a little bit of a spin, you know, learn it. Because it's an interesting experience. So, that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Train Sim World 5 video. I will be looking at the Class 86 when that comes out at some point. So, stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you for watching, guys. This has been Samuel Beamon of British Locomotive Studios. I'll see you in another Train Sim World 5 video. Goodbye for now.